Hello and welcome to Coastline. This is your opportunity to find out what's going on in Beaufort County and learn a little bit from some of the people that are involved in government. And we're joined today by Maria Walls. She is the Beaufort County Treasurer, has been on the job for 6 months. And as I recall, we had you on just as you were about to be sworn in last time.
Yes, you did.
And a lot of things, it is good to have you back. A lot of things have been going on in your department there, and I just left from across the hall here and paid my taxes, so I won't make the delinquent tax rolls. None of my property is going on, up the auction block. But hopefully, you got a good, collection this go around, and you won't have to put a lot of properties on the auction block.
We did, even despite billing more this year than the previous year, and we're hopeful that the trends from this past tax sale are going to be a good indicator for the upcoming tax sale in October, because that is the least number of properties we've auctioned since of record.
Do you think that's due to the economy looking better, the property values going down? What do you attribute that to?
I wish I could tell you. I really do. It could be a combination of both those things. And that we went through a period in the county where there was a downturn in the economy. Their foreclosures were up, and the financial situations of a lot of the members of our community were strained, and some still are, but we see an indication based on the payment of taxes that may be improving and part of the reason. But any of the properties, especially those foreclosure properties that may have ended up in the tax sale in previous years, have worked through that process. So I think that that's really the main reason, that any of the properties that would have been caught in that financial distress, obviously their taxes would be a part of that. Mm-hmm. Those have been working towards and have been resolved, and perhaps they're now in the hands of the bank, or who would pay the taxes, or back in the hands of an owner that is able to pay the taxes, or that person's financial situation has improved. It's hard to speculate, but I think it is a combination of things.
For our viewers who are probably not very aware of how this all happens, what is the process where a nice piece of property that had been formally paid on year after year all of a sudden finds itself on these tax rolls and going to somebody else for a fraction of what it's worth? Is that pretty much the deal there?
That is a very brief summary. And what typically occurs, we'll send a tax bill out in November, and if that tax bill remains unpaid as of January 15th, we now enter a penalty period. So starting January 16th, penalties will be applied. What many taxpayers don't realize is this is a law. The South Carolina state statute says what penalties and the percentage that needs to be applied. There's 3. They amount to 15%. That is a significant amount of money on your tax bill, which is already fairly significant anyway, most likely. Once that occurs, you get into our summer months, and that is when we start to begin the process of notifying taxpayers, not just through a tax bill, but we'll send a certified notice, and then ultimately we will post a sign on the property to indicate that it is delinquent. Then obviously the last step would be that we're going to advertise that property in the tax sale, because we don't want to sell people's properties at auction. We want to see them paid, but we also understand that there are varying circumstances as to why that didn't occur. They moved and forgot to tell us, and forgot their lot in whatever community, and they forgot to pay. It sounds like that wouldn't happen very often, but it does, surprisingly.
Well, I can imagine. I look at those listings, and a lot of times I see it's the same name over a variety of lots, so that it stands to reason if they change their mailing address and they've got thousands of properties, then I'd forget a couple of them.
Correct. And then ultimately, the day of the auction, the property is auctioned if the taxes aren't paid. So there are multiple opportunities for us to notify that taxpayer to the best of our ability, which is why it is so important that your contact information, and specifically the mailing address for each of our taxpayers, is correct in our tax system, because that is considered our address of record, and the law states we must send notification to that address, which is unfortunate if it hasn't been updated, because now we are forced to send you notice to address that is no longer valid for you.
Sure.
So unless we're notified, we won't know.
So the way that it would happen then is they don't pay by January 15th, and by October it goes to
Correct.
to the auction.
So the intention is to give the taxpayer approximately a year to pay that tax bill before a property goes to tax sale. If it should go to tax sale, they will then have a year and a day to redeem it. So essentially, if it is auctioned at the tax sale, they have a year and a day to get it back from that bidder. Now again, there's another interest that is involved in that process, so it's costly. So the costs, unfortunately, are building throughout this process, but all is not lost. The property can be returned to the delinquent owner if the amounts that are due are satisfied. And to your question about, that some of the properties or the properties will be bid on for the lowest amount or less than it's worth, what we really try to focus on is, once we get to the timing of the tax sale, is garnering bidder interest. Because if I already have to auction a property that I really wish that we didn't have to auction off anything because everything was paid. But if we're going to, I want to ensure that I have done whatever I can to garner enough bidder interest that you are going to get the best market value, the best bid on that property. Because it's not the county that gets that bid amount. If ultimately the taxpayer never redeems the property and they lose it, the county just gets the taxes that are due. Any difference goes back to that delinquent. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. And so if I have to auction someone's land, someone's home, someone's mobile home, whatever it is, I want to make sure that that bidder bid top dollar for it, because if I can do anything else for that delinquent taxpayer, that is the last best thing that we can do. So we work with a professional auctioneer that assists us in marketing our tax sale. He also conducts our online tax sale. And what I did think was interesting is the past 2 years we've sent a survey out to our bidders. We asked them, what do you need from us? What can we give you? What reports to help you do your research better and make appropriate bids? And we've received phenomenal feedback, but what I thought was the most interesting is the majority of people that come to bid, or at least the ones that completed the survey, so over 54%, completed the survey stating they were not bidding on the property to earn interest or gain a big return. They wanted to own the land. They
really
wanted
did.
to own it.
Wow.
And I thought that is an amazing reflection on our county, because you earn 12% if you're a bidder. You can't earn 12% anywhere in this economy.
So the way that it works then, if you're the successful bidder, and assuming you don't want to hold on to the land, then you are approached by the former owner, and within a year and a day they can pay what you paid, or what that individual paid, plus 12%.
Correct.
Okay.
Through our office, we're the facilitators, so there's no direct contact between the bidder and the delinquent taxpayer. But yes, they get their bid money returned to them, plus 12% of that bid amount,
So,
up to the taxes that are due. So there is a cap, but it still can be a significant
nice
return.
money.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
I may be taking money out of the stock market the way it's been going the last few weeks. So,
but you can also end up with property that
you're stuck with.
Exactly, because once the bid is completed and that redemption didn't happen, we do title that property.
And then that person owes you money going forward.
Correct.
All right. We're going to talk a little bit more about your duties as treasurer and what's going on and the changes right after this message.
Okay.
Getting the flu is not fun for anyone. Flu prevention and response is as easy as 1, 2, 3. You can practice prevention by washing your hands and keeping your home clean, keeping your immune system strong by eating healthy and being active, and staying away from people who are sick. If you do get the flu or get sick, then you want to go to the doctor, stay home from school or work, and stay hydrated to strengthen your body to fight the virus. So remember, flu prevention and response is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Traffic in Beaufort County can be a challenge. but we can make your commute a little easier. Traffic cameras are now live on the county channel. Each weekday morning at 6:30 and in the afternoon at 3:30, you can view the cameras live from the Beaufort County Traffic Management Center. From Highway 278 and 170 to Highway 21, you can view them live. That's the traffic cameras only on the county channel.
We're back on Coastline. Our guest today is Maria Walls, Beaufort County Treasurer, and we were talking about delinquent properties and the process they go through if taxes aren't paid and eventually auctioned off. And we're kind of wrap this up, but I was just fascinated by the fact that you indicated that the majority of people that bid on these properties are seeking to own them for their own rather than make a profit from them.
Correct.
And so does that mean that the typical, well, first of all, how many people typically come to one of these auctions? Where are they held? And do you typically find that they're individuals that are there for the first time, or do you see recurring people that are maybe doing this for a business?
We had approximately 27% at this past tax sale that this was their first tax sale. 27% of those who responded to our survey. We had 250 registered bidders for this last tax sale, which is actually it's a significant amount of people, but it's not the highest we've had. We had over 300, I think, one year. So
you say a registered bidder, does that mean they have to put some money down to show that they're qualified or something?
Yes, they need to register as a bidder. So one of the things we'll check is some individuals choose to bid as a business entity or a corporation or LLC, something to that nature. And we want to verify that they are actually a registered business in the state of South Carolina or another state in the United States. If they're an individual, we maintain a copy of their driver's license information. One, because ultimately when we need to title this property, we need to know that that individual is a legitimate individual, meaning they exist. It's not a shell company that's never really been registered anywhere, because ultimately if they do not pay the taxes, we need to know that whatever entity we're going to pursue exists.
Yeah. Do you find every piece of property ends up going at every auction, or do you end up getting stuck with some?
No, we do end up with properties that are not bid on. That is they now become the property of the Forfeited Land Commission, which we currently have properties in the Forfeited Land Commission because every year we do have properties that are not ultimately bid upon. So what we began last year for the first time through the Forfeited Land Commission was to conduct the county's first online auction, which went very, very well. We ended up selling 58% of the properties that we sold at auction and collected approximately $160,000 in profits on very few properties. We ended up selling 24. So it was a success in my eyes, being that it was the first time, and we really marketed that auction to entities outside of Beaufort County. So within the county, of course, just as we would normally.
You're eligible.
Correct. But also we utilize the resources of our auctioneer who conducts auctions throughout the country to contact bidders that typically register with his company to bid, to say, if you're interested in property or bidding on these properties in FLC, because the delinquent taxpayer and they don't need to come on down.
Yeah.
It's just you do it online, and many of the all of the properties we selected to be auctioned online were available for immediate title. Because even if a delinquent taxpayer's property is not sold at the tax sale and it goes to the Forfeited Land Commission, they still have a year and a day to redeem it before it's titled, before they have lost the property, so to speak.
So for people that are looking for maybe an opportunity to do some home shopping,
Yes.
when's your next one?
We're looking to have it at the end of April, but we will of course have information when the time comes in advance on our website, and Facebook will also be issuing a press release.
All right, well that's great. Let's go ahead and move into the nuts and bolts of what you're doing these days. You came in, I think, middle of last year and took over after Doug Henderson, and you had been deputy county manager, almost gave you a raise and
I'm okay with the treasurer's office.
Deputy county treasurer, and you had been there 4 years, as I recall. First thing that happened when you came in was you got a nice big award. Tell us about that.
I had the honor of receiving Thomson Reuters Office Holder of the Year award, and it is an award that recognizes excellence and innovation in the public sector's service to the public sector. What made this award an even greater honor to me is not that this entity selected my nomination, but that my nomination came from people that I work with. And to me, that speaks more volumes to how I am conducting our office and our business, because it is. I mean, we have a business to attend to on behalf of the people, that they would think enough of my efforts and the time and the commitment that I'm making in our office to nominate me for something like that. And what was even more incredible is that this award is selected out of the applicants in every award category.
Yeah, there were over 1,000 entries, I think.
Yes, across the globe. So Thomson Reuters is a multinational billion-dollar corporation, and
well, congratulations.
Thank you. It was a very big honor, and I appreciated that.
And it was nice that you were nominated by your peers, as it were.
Yes.
And along those same lines, have you found any, change in attitudes towards you now that you're going from being an operations type person to a big picture person?
Our coffee discussions might be a little bit different, but there's always an element of, well, now you're the boss. There's always an element to that things change slightly, but if they have, it's not been in a way that's perceived as negative. The day after, we have a monthly staff meeting for the whole office, and the day after I was sworn in happened to be our regularly scheduled staff meeting. Well, that's what we had. And I just said to everyone, we've worked together 4 years now. Let's just go to work. We're going to change.
Yeah,
it's okay.
yeah.
We've been changing for 4 years. That's not going to stop. Let's just get to work. So I think my approach and how I communicate with our staff and our management team as deputy and now as treasurer really ensured that our transition, while always a growth opportunity, any change is, happened smoothly and in a fun way. It's different to use that word in government and collecting taxes, but we tried to make it innovative and fun for the staff, learning new things, taking on new responsibilities, trying to identify what interests them. Because my transition went from being the person who executes the goals. I was very grateful to work with Doug, and he was wonderful to work with, but I went from executing the goals to now I'm leading their execution.
So you were
it's
definitely
different.
well prepared. And,
Yes.
and I must say that I had a very pleasant experience, as pleasant as anybody can have paying taxes, that I came in, as I said, it was 2 days before the 15th, the deadline, and I was not going to pay that 3%. So came on down, and there was one person ahead of me. I waited maybe a minute and a half, was quickly summoned to the next available clerk, and but I was really surprised because within that 30 or 45 seconds that it took me to pay a couple of, I also paid my car taxes at the same time, I turned around and the line suddenly had gone all the way back to the hall.
Yeah, it just, that's the nature of our department in this time of year. It can go from having 2 people, we wonder where everybody is, to all of a sudden there's a line down the hall, and everyone is trying to process all the payments and take care of everyone with a smile as fast as we can. And it can fluctuate very quickly, just like that.
Well, we're going to talk about some of the changes that you're in the process of instituting and have already brought about right after this note.
Okay.
I love coming home to South Carolina, but no matter where I am, I always make sure to recycle. There are many recycling programs for everyone across our state, just waiting for your bottles, cans, cardboard, newspaper, and more. To find out more information on what items can be recycled and where to recycle, please call DHEX Recycling Hotline at 1-800-768-7348, or you can visit the web. Let's recycle together, South Carolina.
And we're back with Maria Walls, Beaufort County Treasurer, on this last segment of Coastline. We've been talking about the part of the Treasurer's office that everybody is familiar with. That is where you come in and pay your property taxes or your, well, when I think of property, I think of real property, but also that means vehicle taxes.
Correct.
But you have 24 plus employees, and you know, I go in across the hallway and I see 5 or 6. What else do you have besides just the tellers that I see?
We have 24 staff members, including myself. Of those 24, 4 in our satellite offices. So we have an office.
Where are those?
Office in Bluffton, which is located in Myrtle Park, which is right on the Bluffton Parkway in the intersection of 46, circle there. And then we also have an office in Hilton Head. There are 2 staff members there, which is in the county government building on the island there. And then the remainder of our staff, the 20 and myself, are here in Beaufort. So when you come in, most of our taxpayers come in on their lunch break. Well, we do give our staff members a lunch break. So most people do not see that we have 5 tellers on our front line in Beaufort. But behind those tellers, we have a bunch of cubicles there. So our office is broken up into teams. So we have our operations team, which is our frontline tellers, the people that the majority of our taxpayers interact with. And then we have our accounting team. Many people don't realize that we don't just take money from the public. We are a depository for the other departments in the county.
Like magistrate's office, register of deeds?
Correct, business license, animal shelter, the majority of the departments in the county. So a member of our accounting team is focused solely on receiving those funds, depositing them, getting them recorded to the general ledger, because every dollar that comes to our office needs to be recorded in the general ledger and our tax software. So our department does both. Our finance department does not perform that function for us. So as the dollars and the work is performed in our office, our accounting area focuses on the recording in the general ledger of that activity. One of those members also has a specialization in reporting and in the analysis of the data, because you can see a lot of things on a computer screen and an account, but you can see more when you look at the big picture, because those anomalies tend to stick out, or you see things that are an odd pattern. So it allows us to validate our work in a greater mass. And then we have our delinquency area. We spent some time talking about the tax sale. They are responsible for the pursuit of the tax collections after they have become delinquent. They don't take money, just our front line does, but they are responsible for the pursuit of those taxes.
Okay. It's you know, having been in business myself, one of the times that I dread the most is budget time. And so as treasurer, I imagine you are called upon by council to present to them some type of report that says, what are we going to make, or what have we made this year, and how much are we going to have to raise or maybe lower taxes, although that's seldom seen, next year. How long is that process, and what all do you go through to give an accurate report?
Well, there's two sides. One, the budget process in the terms of any presentation that I give to county council, it would be, if asked, to give a presentation of any budget requests I may have. We have not had, I think we've cut our budget more than we've asked for any increases, so that is very unique to our office, and we're proud of that. And the other aspect is reporting to council, what have we collected? I'll be speaking to them next month, I think it's the 9th, to discuss where are we right now, and to give them that information, because what is incredible is that every dollar that we are ever going to collect for the year occurs between December 1st and January 31st.
You're kidding me.
77% actually happens between December 1st and January 15th.
Wow.
So when you say you saw a line and it happened like that, that's why.
I understand.
We've processed over 200,000 payments between that 45-day period. And a significant amount of money. It's in excess of $250 million. So it is, that is very relevant to their conversation, because they need to, if most likely because of the concentration of activity during that time frame, by February, if we haven't collected those funds, they may not be collected until we are actively in that delinquency period.
So at that point, if they see a shortfall at the administrative level, do they start entertaining the possibility of making some cuts in the months ahead? Is that how that works?
I am grateful that I'm responsible for the collecting, and they get to decide how they're going to spend it or where.
Okay.
But like anything else, I would like to think that, and I know our council does do this as well as our county administration, if our collections were not at a level that they anticipated. It could be for a variety of reasons: downfall in the economy, delay of a tax bill. One year we got the tax bills out much later than this year. That affects cash flows. Maybe not ultimately what we're going to receive, but the cash flows itself, the timing.
Was that the year that the millage rates had to be adjusted because of the revaluation of properties?
I believe so, yes. There's something in the auditor's office, and there was a small delay, but when you're dealing with this volume of money, that is relevant.
Let me interrupt you real quick, because we've only got a couple minutes, and I did want to, I just remembered there was one thing for those people that maybe are in danger of being delinquent. You do offer an installment plan, right?
We do. The application period ends January 15th. And this is another, it's interesting. I hope everyone that's watching will take some time to visit our website, because we want to very clearly communicate why we do the things we do. Why do we have this program or that process? It's almost entirely dictated by state law, and the installment program is no exception. And throughout our website, we have hyperlinks to the state law that governs that aspect of whatever we're trying to communicate. So the installment program requires that you be current on any taxes that you have due, and that you apply to be in the program by January 15th.
Okay.
So we will reopen that application process December 15th for the 2017 tax year. So it's not an installment program to pay the taxes from prior years. It is actually like you are going to be paying the taxes for the year in advance. Okay,
so it's like layaway.
Yes, exactly. So we have a separate escrow account, and we hold the payments in that account until the time the bills are created.
Well, Maria, if you can believe it, our time is completely up,
and
we
fast.
still didn't get a chance to talk about the changes that you've instituted and that you're planning in the years ahead. So we're going to have you back.
I would love that.
All right, thank you, Maria Walls, Beaufort County Treasurer. It's been a delight to have you.
Thank you.
We're going to have another great guest next month on Coastline. We hope you'll join us then.
The County Channel is also available on video on demand. Go to bcgov.net, click on the County Channel logo, click Video on Demand, and select your program from the list. If you would like a DVD of this program, click DVD order form from the County Channel main page and fill out an order form.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts, stop the wrecks.